In the never-ending quest for weird crap on the internet, today I bring you the Prison Ramen Recipe Book, Recipes and Stories from Behind Bars. And we're not just going to take a look at some of the recipes in here, we're going to actually make one of them, and not just any of them. We're going to make one from one of the most crazy weirdos I've personally ever seen on TV, movies, or the internet, and that would be Mr. Shia LaBeouf. Us having to sit here and watch you make terrible recipes is kind of like being in prison. You know, Bearverly, sometimes the things you say to me are very hurtful, and it's not very nice. It's not very friendly for you to say that kind of stuff, but that's okay, you know? I'm not going to make you eat the weird stuff we're going to make in this book, but you're right. You do have to sit there and you have to watch me make it. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to take a look at this today. I will link it down in the description if you're interested in buying it yourself. There are a lot of recipes in here, and not just recipes. There are some really interesting stories as well that go with the recipes. So I will say some of them seem, both the recipes and the stories seem a little fiction, maybe, I guess is the nice way to say that. But you know, who am I? I've personally only been to jail one time, and they let me out pretty much immediately, so I didn't even actually spend any time in a jail cell. So I'm really not one to talk about what prison food is really like. I've never eaten food in a prison. You've been to jail? One time, yes, I did go to jail. Look, everybody makes mistakes sometimes. That's all I'm going to say. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. And I made a stupid mistake. Frankly, it was stupid. And literally, they took me in. They took my thumbprints and then they kicked me out. So it wasn't even that bad. Anyway, I'm excited to get into this today. Before we do that, real quick, introducing our new buddy. Hey. Again, don't have a name for him. So if you want to start naming our new friends, we got that guy and we got that guy. And neither of them have names yet. So let me know what you would name our two buddies. Technically, he doesn't have a name either, but I feel like, you know, he's sort of a nameless creature, nameless, I don't know. He just feels like a nameless entity to me. So he gets no name. And that's why he keeps the Hellraiser box. So like I said, today we're going to do prison ramen. And we're not just doing any prison ramen. We are doing Mr. Shia LaBeouf's prison ramen. And his recipe is egg ramen salad sandwich. Not super excited about this. I can't imagine it's going to be that good. But also, maybe it won't be that bad. But before we make his nice little recipe here, I do think it's important to read the story that he wrote with this. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a story. Let me just go ahead and get right into this. I have been incarcerated 5 times. The first time, I was only 9 years old. It was Pacioma, California, and I was arrested for stealing a pair of Nike Cortezes from a local shop and held for 6 hours. See, I'm already in disbelief that a 9-year-old would be held in jail for 6 hours. Okay. But sure, let's believe this. The second time I was 11 in the city of Toglenn, California. I was arrested for stealing a Game Boy Pokemon from Kmart. All right, in his defense in this instance, Game Boy Pokemon, sick. Legit. The original. Good stuff. I do continue to question the validity of the story, though, because he doesn't say which Pokemon. Blue, red, yellow? I mean, if you're a real fan, you're really remembering which one you started with. Personally, I started with blue. That time, too, I was in a substation for about 6 hours. The third time, I was 20 in Van Nuys, California. I tried to stab my neighbor and spent 2 days in jail. Oh, this is crazy. Shia LaBeouf tried to stab his neighbor? Look, I did no research on this to find out whether or not what he's talking about here is true. But this just sounds both potentially like it's real because Shia LaBeouf's totally a freaking weirdo, but it also sounds like it might totally be made up. Especially like if you tried to stab somebody and then you went on to become a famous actor. What the F? Anyway, let's continue. While I was there, I at least understood that being in jail is not the move. It sucks ass. The fourth time I was in Chicago and I wouldn't leave Walgreens, so I was taken to spend the night in jail. For some reason, I had the best sleep ever. The most recent time was 2014 when I was 28 1998 and in New York City, I went to see the play Cabaret. I didn't behave very well during the performance and ended up spending 25 hours or so behind bars. While there, I did have a terrific egg sandwich. When I'm nervous in my creativity, I think of my failures in life and in art. Thinking about my screw-ups loosens the grip of fear. It's freeing to fuck up and to recover. You know, that last line, I will give him that. It is very freeing to just decide you're going to do things, and if you fuck up, then that's fine, as long as you recover. So good for Shia LaBeouf for recovering from his 5 times in prison. So anyway, his recipe is egg ramen salad sandwich. So ingredients we're going to need: chicken flavor ramen, a cup of boiling water, 3 hard-boiled eggs chopped, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, a hoagie or hero roll split open, and 2 slices of American cheese. So let's go ahead and grab all the ingredients. Then we can read the instructions and make this monstrosity. All right, so to make our Shia LaBeouf prison ramen, here are the things that we're going to need. We've got 2 slices of American cheese. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. We're going to need a cup of boiling water. This is not boiling yet, but it will be after we throw it in the microwave. 3 hard-boiled eggs that I need to peel and chop up. A bag of chicken ramen noodle soup, of course. The Maruchan brand, which is the best brand, and I'll fight you over that. And then we need a hoagie roll. I didn't have hoagie rolls. I've got hamburger buns. But you know what? In standard prison fashion, I feel like you work with what you got. So that's what we're going to be using for our sandwich bread. So this is going to be pretty straightforward, I think. First thing I need to do is go ahead and chop up these eggs. And then we can get into the instructions for actually putting together the sandwich. So let's do this first. I'm hoping I did a good job with this and that these will be easy to peel, but we'll see. Hey, not too bad. I've definitely had worse. Well, I said they're not too bad, and now they're being horrible, so maybe I lied. Oh my god, they're actually horrible. Okay, well, I lied. Oh, wow, okay, so that first one did not come apart very well at all. Not even a little bit, so that's fun. And there's still shell on it. That's going to be great. Let's not eat any eggshell, please. So yeah, I'm not doing a great job peeling these. Me and boiled eggs apparently just don't get along. It is what it is. If you've never seen the video making an Eggs Benedict in the microwave, that's another fun one where you can watch me absolutely not do a good job at peeling eggs. So, come on, make my life a little bit easier, please. Really thought I had something with this one, but nope. I think the problem with these eggs was that they were very, very fresh. Literally just bought them today, boiled them today. But, you know, I don't think ahead, and that's what happens when you don't think and plan ahead. So that's on me. That's okay. Like I said, you know, if you're in prison, you just sort of work with what you got. And in this case, it's going to be really badly peeled eggs. What are you going to do? What really makes me upset about these eggs is how they want to, like, it's not that they're peeling bad, it's that they want to take part of the egg with them as they come off. And then because they're peeling in such tiny little freaking pieces, that means we might end up eating some eggshell, which I don't really want to do. So I'm trying to keep this, you know, as true to prison life as possible. That's why we're not going to use a chopping board. We're going to use a paper plate. I assume in prison they wouldn't have knives. Actually, they'd probably have butter knives. That's what I'll do. I'll get a butter knife. We'll get a plastic one. That'll be even more realistic. I assume they have these things in prison, but again, I don't know. I've never eaten in a prison. So let's chop our egg up. Our very badly peeled egg, I might add. I did my best, and you know, my best just wasn't good enough in this instance. It's crazy how that happens quite a bit sometimes. So in that recipe book, there were a lot of recipes that called for a lot of things that I would think you would not find in a standard prison, and like ways to cook it that, again, I would not expect a standard prison an inmate would be able to do. I'm sure there's different types of prisons and inmates and et cetera, et cetera. You know, maybe it just depends on where you're at, what crime you did, what are you paying for. In Shia LaBeouf's case, he's paying for stealing Game Boy games. I just, and I did no research on whether or not he's telling the truth on those stories, but it just feels like a hot load of garbage. I don't know, something about it just doesn't feel like he's telling the truth. What do I know though? Maybe he is. Maybe he is telling the truth. But the recipes though, his recipe at least, like, I think is something that prison inmates would be able to make. You can buy pre-boiled eggs in little packages. So, the commissary might sell boiled eggs. It probably sells mayonnaise packets where you can just grab them, whatever. Same with like sandwich bread. Obviously the ramen, definitely you can find that in prisons. That's not a problem. The only other thing is hot water, but like if they've got a coffee dispenser, then I'm sure you could just get hot water out of a coffee dispenser, or, maybe they have heating kettles that you can heat things up with. And then, like this one, you can actually chop with a plastic butter knife. No big deal. No big deal. Easy peasy. All right. I would say this is pretty well chopped up. All right. Now that we have our ingredients pretty much ready to go, let's see what our instructions say to do. So first off, we're going to crush the ramen in the wrapper and empty it into a bowl and set aside the seasoning packet. Let's crush this up. I'm so tough. All right, that's pretty well crushed up. Here's the real question. Are you a crush or a no crush person when it comes to ramen? I am a break it in half just because it fits in the pot better. But that's it. I don't crush it up beyond that. I did crush this up pretty fine though, since it's getting blended together. We're gonna open it up and we're gonna take out the seasoning packets and set aside for later. And then it said to empty this into a bowl. Let me go see if I can find the most prison-y bowl I have. All right, I think this is probably the most jail-ish bowl that I have. It's just like one of those crappy Rubbermaid, really thin, that you can like throw away when you're done using, but I don't. I reuse them. There we go. That's our bowl. So we need to dump the contents of the package in the bowl. Ta-da! Next. Add the water cover and let sit for about 5 minutes. Well, first, we need to get our water boiling. I did not boil this yet, and I'm just going to do it in the microwave. This is something else. Like, I kind of assume that prisoners have the capacity to microwave things. Maybe they don't. I don't know. We'll give it like a minute and see if it's bubbling, and if not, we'll add some more time. We're still not quite boiling, but we're getting close. So I think another maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and we should be good to go. All right. Yeah, we got bubbles. I would say we were boiling, or close enough anyway. So let's go ahead and dump this into our ramen carefully so as not to burn ourselves. There we go. We'll give it a little stir. And then it says to cover for 5 minutes. So I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, while we're waiting on our ramen to finish up, we do need to go ahead and combine the eggs and mayo in a separate bowl and mash and mix well with a fork. So I'm gonna set this off to the side. I'm not going to put this in a separate bowl. We're just gonna mash and mix it on the plate because why not, So we need 2 tablespoons of mayo. There's one, and here's another. And I like mayo, so we'll go a little over. It's not a big deal. It don't gotta be perfect. All right, and then it says to mash this together with a fork, which conveniently we have in our little plastic silverware package that we pulled the knife out of. We'll just do it like that. No big deal. If you've ever been to prison or are currently in prison or, have any sort of prison experiences, let me know down in the comments. I'm curious. My prison experience was pretty damn lame because, like I said, I got taken in. They did put me in handcuffs. But then they let me sit in the front seat of the cop car, not because anybody else was in there or anything. They just, I don't know. It's like, if you're going to put handcuffs on me, why not give me the full experience and put me in the back? I don't know. Anyway, sat me in the front seat. We get to the fucking prison and, they're like, it was over something really stupid. It was like an unpaid parking ticket that I apparently had a warrant out for. I didn't even realize it because it had happened like 7 years before in a town I didn't even live in anymore. And I guess that they were like, I don't know if they mailed me and I wasn't getting the mail or like what the story was, but I just genuinely didn't even know this was a thing. They had even told me that my license was suspended and I had just gotten it renewed like a month before that. So it was a bizarre situation. Anyway, they take me in, they take my prints, and then they just like kicked me back out. And they were like, go figure your life out, pay off your stuff. And I'm like, okay, great, will do. Would have paid it to begin with if I knew that it was still outstanding. So anyway, that's my prison story. Not very exciting. If you've got a more exciting prison story, let me know. All right, that means that our ramen has been sitting for 5 minutes. So next up it says drain off the excess water, and then we're going to add the seasoning packet and mix well. So let's go drain this. Alrighty, we are drained, and now we need to add the seasoning packet and mix. I assume it doesn't want you to add in like the egg and the mayo right away because it doesn't want you to like accidentally cook those. That would definitely not taste very good. All right, seasoning packet added, and let's mix. Now, normally when I'm eating ramen, just, you know, as a normal person and not somebody pretending to be Shia LaBeouf in prison, I like soupy ramen. I leave the water in there. I cook with more water than they recommend to. And the only addition I really add to my ramen is American cheese, which sounds ridiculous, but honestly, if you've never tried it, especially with the chicken ramen, it is so good together. It just makes it creamy. But it has to be good American cheese that like emulsifies and melts down in there. If it's crappy American cheese that doesn't melt, then it's much less of a fun experience. All right, I would say that is pretty dang well mixed. So next up, now we're gonna add the ramen to the eggs. So let's do it. It would probably make more sense to mix this in the bowl, but that's not what it said to do. It said to mix it with the stuff over here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it that way, adding it in the way they said to do it in the instructions. Also, I'm hoping if I do this on the plate, it cools off a little bit faster and doesn't like cook the stuff, you know. Ooh-wee, let me tell you right now, this is not my favorite smell in the world. Not my favorite. And I like all the separate pieces of this by themselves. I like chicken ramen. I like hard-boiled eggs. I like mayonnaise. But all of this together, not smelling too hot, not gonna lie. Not smelling too hot at all. And frankly, not exactly looking that hot either. Oh, Shia LaBeouf, what are you getting us into? The last couple of steps are basically just us building our sandwich, which we will do on a paper towel like a true prisoner. Don't think I'm making fun of people who have to be in prisons and deal with this. I'm truly not. I don't know what you have to work with. I'm sure it's not fun. I'm thankful the one time I was in prison, I did not have to stay. Very thankful for that. All right, here's our buns. Let's go ahead and fill one up. Ooh, yummy. Oh boy. Ooh, yeah, really fill it in there. Really make sure to get a lot in there. We don't want to, dang it. What am I doing? We don't want to miss out on the deliciousness. All right, and now it says to place the cheese, and then we're set. So it said to use 2 pieces of cheese, and normally I'm all about extra cheese, but I think it's because they were talking about like a longer hoagie roll. Since I'm using a hamburger bun, we really don't need 2 pieces, so I'm just going to do the one. I don't think only using 1 piece of cheese is going to make or break this recipe. So anyway, here we go. Oh God. All right, here is our egg ramen salad sandwich a la Shia LaBeouf, a prison recipe, potentially prison recipe staple. Oh boy, let me start by saying it doesn't smell very good. I don't know, it just it smells eggy, which, you know, of course it smells like eggs. It's got eggs in it, but the combination of the eggs and the mayo and the ramen and the everything just doesn't smell very good. So let's take a bite. Ooh-wee. That's woo, you know. Let me judge this from the perspective of somebody who's in a jail cell. You're not loving your life, right? You don't want to be there. You're having a bad fucking day. And you're in the jail cell, and this is your dinner. This fake egg salad sandwich with ramen. Let me judge it from that perspective. Let me get another bite. I'm really I'm really setting the mood for myself. Let me get another bite and judge it from that perspective. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad at this. Especially in that situation, I would actually find this pretty damn good. I would be pretty happy about this over, I'm sure, what is probably not good food otherwise. This at least has some of the hallmark things you typically expect in a chicken salad sandwich. It's got the egg, it's got the mayo, the chicken ramen. I mean, it sort of adds a chicken flavor to it and it beefs it out, but it doesn't really like contribute much to the overall sandwich. It just makes the whole thing kind of gooey. Texture-wise, yeah, this is just goo in your mouth, basically. It's a mouthful of soft. Soft bread, soft cheese, soft egg salad. There's not a lot going on texturally. Now, all that said, again, if I were in a prison cell, I'd probably be pretty happy about this. Now let's judge it from the perspective of just eating at home. I'll never make this again. I'll never make this again. It's edible. It is indeed edible. It is a pile of mush that if you're going to go through the effort of chopping up and hard-boiling egg and gathering ingredients, just make freaking real chicken salad sandwiches. Like, there's no reason to do this instead of making a real chicken salad sandwich. I could see maybe if you were like really off your tits on some recreational substances, finding this something enjoyable. But personally, not for me. I would rather just have ramen the way I normally make ramen, and I would rather have chicken salad the way I normally make chicken salad, and I'd rather have sandwiches, not combining the two. Personally, that's how I feel about that. I love eggs. I feel like I would love it. Well, I'm glad you love eggs, Muffinzy, because if that's the case, then you can finish this. I'm not looking forward to like trying to eat the rest of this. I don't like food waste, so I will save this and try to make another sandwich and finish this one, or I don't know, I'll do something with it. But I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to it. So that's unfortunate for me, but that's okay for everybody else involved. That wraps up this recipe, though. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go finish this, I guess. But in the meantime, again, let me know if you've got any prison stories. Tell me down in the comments. If you want to see us make another recipe from this book, let me know. There are several in here that are very interesting, and I would be happy to revisit it and try it again. I say happy, but, you know, I'm just saying I would do it again if I had to. But anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, babies.